is a time when, we do tend to put down the hatches. So, it is actually great that the diocese are doing a campaign as well. So we're just trying to raise awareness of this whole issue.
Alison Webster, how serious do you believe this issue to be?
I think it's a growing problem, and it interlocks with another issue that we've been looking at, well, obviously, which is the food poverty issue. So we've had 3 justice forums that overlap in terms of the people they affect and the kind of effects that they have, and social isolation is, as Jayne says, a really important one. So food, finance and debt, and now fuel. So, yeah, I saw some figures, I think, from Oxford City Council that something like 12% of people in Oxford City are estimated to be living in fuel poverty. There's 4 million people across the country who are in fuel poverty, and as fuel prices go up and people's fixed incomes lose their value, then it's going to be an increasing problem.
And are we talking about the same thing when we talk about fuel poverty? What do you mean by that, Alison Webster?
There is a very precise definition, which I can't remember off the top of my head because I'm not a statistician. The government changed the definition, but it basically means you can't actually afford to heat your home because if you're on a low fixed income and you've got bills to pay that are outstripping your income, then you face, that's why fuel poverty has gone up, because if you think of it, if you're managing to feed yourself when you haven't got to put the heating on, when you've got to put the heating on, and that's why it's appropriate we're doing this event now, because it's just the beginning of the cold weather, and we're all reminded of how miserable it is if you can't heat your home, you don't have any hot water, and you have to turn your electricity off and your food goes off because you can't power your fridge. It just means that you're struggling and you can't actually afford to heat your home to a level where you can stay healthy.
So, Jayne, sorry, go on.
No, I think there has been some statistics that the actual amount of income for a child to be living in a family in poverty is an income under £16,000. So you can see that that's actually going to catch quite a lot of people. So that's why the problem is as big as it is.
So let's talk about practical action then, Jayne. If someone's listening and worried about being able to pay for their heating, where can they get help?
They can actually call, there is an affordable warmth helpline actually, which is, I can give you the number, it's 0800 107 0044. And that can
give... You're a bit quick there. 0800 107
0044.
0044.
And that actually links into lots of initiatives that are working throughout Oxfordshire in terms of trying to help people access benefits that they might be entitled to that they're maybe not claiming, but also practical helps like what you can actually do in terms of keeping yourself warm, making yourself a hot drink, actually closing the curtains, simple things that you could actually do for a neighbour as well. You could actually check in on a neighbour and make sure that they have had a hot meal. So there's lots of practical tips that we would recommend.
Alison Webster, tell us about today's meeting.
Well, we're gathering people, representatives from churches across the diocese, which is the 3 counties, really to share ideas. All of these forums have been about sharing ideas because there are obviously what churches are very good at is very local practical action. So the kind of things Jayne's saying about neighbourliness, for instance, or having an open house in church where people can come and get a hot meal and actually be warm for an afternoon or a day. Those kind of things that there's a tiny village in Oxfordshire that last Christmas did some kind of Christmas winter warmth, Christmas hampers that actually had a cash contribution to fuel bills, but also all sorts of other thoughtful items that were just yeah, exactly.
What did you say there, Jayne? Hot water bottles.
Hot water bottles.
Yeah, hot water bottles were in there. So yeah, it's all the little ideas. But alongside, we have also got the City Council coming. We've got the Citizens Advice Bureau. We've got the Community Consumer Empowerment Partnership represented. So we're bringing together secular agencies, church representatives, swapping ideas. The secular agencies are interested in how they can work with churches as partners because obviously we have different ways of working, we can access different people, and we're just about, how can we together try and do something effective to overcome this thing. It's just unimaginably miserable to think that you've got months of being cold, particularly if you've got children, and actually reading about the health impact. It's not just that you feel uncomfortable, that actually in terms of the NHS funding, and it's
okay. So there's all that going on. I'm trying to sort of get to the bottom of if someone is listening to this, and can anybody attend this meeting in Oxford today?
Yeah, they can. It's about to start in about half an hour. But yes, it's at Wesley Memorial. Wesley Memorial Methodist Church. If you want to show up, you may. Yeah, and it's 9:30 to lunchtime.
All right, and Wesley Memorial Methodist Church is where?
It's right in the centre of Oxford on New Inn Hall Street.
Okay, lovely. And Jayne Woodley, final word about your Surviving Winter appeal. What are you looking for people to do?
Well, they can help us by obviously making a donation, and we've been running it for the last, this is our 5th year, and, very successfully. Generous people in the county previously were giving up their winter fuel allowance if they didn't need it, but most recently anyone has been contributing to it, because we do see it as not just an appeal that goes on at winter, but ways that we can help throughout the year. And we work with lots of organisations like Age UK and Citizens Advice Bureau and friendship groups, really, that are actually trying to relieve some of the aspects. As Alison says, winter can be miserable, so let's spread a little happiness.
Thank you both for joining us this morning. Jayne Woodley is Chief Executive of the Oxfordshire Community Foundation, which is part of this Surviving Winter appeal. Alison Webster is the Social Responsibility Advisor for the Diocese of Oxford.